Hello everyone, I'm aReNGee and I'd like to say hello to you guys all again after another long hiatus between making videos. I'm sorry, I know I'm working on it. You'll see more in the future. Today I'm coming down to talk about a very interesting concept, something I like to call Armory in 2016, which is to say, I'm playing Armory and it's the current metagame. This question gets asked of me every time the patch comes out, is Armory still a deck? And the answer is, well, kind of. Um, Armory is nowhere near its former glory days of tier 1-ness and super powerfulness, but what we've got here is a interesting collection of cards that sometimes combines to do some very powerful things and sometimes combines to draw 9 sigils and die. Uh, Overall, I've been enjoying the deck, and I've come up with what I think is a pretty good complement for what you're facing in the current metagame. What I'm doing with this particular armor deck is that it is a lot heavier on the Shadow Splash. I know I, like many other people, tried out Scheme. I didn't really like it. You end up with a lot of air in Armory anyways, in terms of low value cards that you can draw, and you are kind of pinched on power a lot of the time. Scheme takes up the majority of your turn, and you just can't take that many turns off. So what I have brought in that I've been very happy with is 3 copies of Steward of the Past. They've been great against the Haunting Scream decks. All the fancy entombs out of Stone Scar, and just for generally silencing anything that's recurring. There's been a couple of Xenasian, I think they're called, the Time Primal Shadow, Copper Conduit Dawnwalker decks. Elasian decks are playing Dawnwalkers again. Haven't run into too much Combre, but they're good there too as a deadly unit. So I've been quite happy with Steward of the Past in this deck, and it's led to a bit of a tweaked power base. We're not playing any of my favorite card, Inspire. Instead, we're playing 4 Seek Power, which also help you smooth out your draws and make sure you get to that double and triple fire and Shadow Influence. Interestingly here, we're not playing with any Sword of the Sky King, which you'd think would be great in the burn metagame, and honestly I'd like to. As you can see, I don't quite have the stones for it yet. I've never actually tested it on a 1.4, and that's something that I'd like to do in the future. Other than that, it's the majority of it is the stuff that I'm playing all the time. I'm playing a second die show because I found that without the Sky King, you need another expensive weapon. Haven't been too happy with Stone Scar Maul. Three armor is just a bit too fragile. So the die show is your third 6-drop, and I've been playing this Runic Revolver, which has mostly been mediocre, and it looks really bad. But frankly, there just aren't that many 5-drop weapons that you can play, and there are some games where this is just fantastic. Stone Scar Burn specifically has a bunch of units that have very low health, like, obviously random Pyro Knights and things, but also the Cabal Countess only has 1 health, so Quick Draw means you can get in, knock it off, and, keep it around, and it's also, you don't take quite as much damage when you run it into an Umbran Reaper, although obviously Runehammer is the preferred choice there. If you can ever get this buffed up, it does get really good, and there was one particular Elasian game where I got this up to a 7/7, and it was quite powerful. It's something I'm testing. It's a bit of a flex slot there. If you have a Sword of the Sky King, get this guy out of here and put that in instead. We're running 2 Shadow Sigils, because I found that I just wasn't drawing them consistently enough for the amount of times that I wanted to play Steward of the Past on turn 4. But we're not going too deep. We're not playing any Death Strikes and things. The rest of this is just good old Armory. 2 Vanquish, because at the moment the metagame is tuned sort of in favor of lower cost cards. There's a lot of 3 power things that you can't hit with Vanquish. So let's hop into a game and see how we do. Very lucky on the Q pop there. We are presented with a 1 sigil hand. We'll redraw, obviously. And we have First Lady, no Justice Sigils, but what we can do with the Seek Power is this hand goes from being, if this was an Inspire, this hand would be totally unplayable in other versions of Armory. But fortunately, with this new Seek Power version, we can go get that all-important Justice Sigil and start ramping up to, well, it's going to be a while before she comes out. And our hand isn't doing too much in the meantime, but hopefully we won't just fall over and die. Well, our opponent with that Blood Beetle reveals that they are on Jido, which is a fall over and die deck that we're not particularly favored against. But we've got some armor. If we can get a sort of Karia down and protect it, we can poke away at his guys. If we can ever get a harsh roll once he's emptied his hand. That particular attack means he's got Rapid Shot, but I think that's okay because I don't mind trading a 2/2 for it. Because Rapid Shot would be really annoying, and we can follow up with a nice Sword of Icaria. Presumably it stunts his development somewhat. He's only going to be able to play another 1-drop. Hopefully not a good one. That's a good one against us. But Rapid Shot's out of hand. Blood Beetle's down. He's only got a small board presence. If we draw some cards, maybe drawing into a big Harsh Rule, we can definitely do this. Follow-up of Assembly Line would be bad for us. Follow-up of Knife Jack, not so bad for us. That's pretty high on the bad for us scale, but this is good for us. Okay. We don't really care what Volk Reinforcer hits. The point is that it can't be torched, and the sword's gonna die, but that's fine. Do we kill the Knife Jack on principle? I think we do. We're going to keep the torch up here. We're not so concerned about playing a 5-drop on turn 5. We don't block the Oni Ronin because we're playing around Rally, specifically. We block one of these because we don't want him to bring it back with Sanctuary Priest. And I think we torch the Ronin. Or Ronin. Pronunciation is not my strong suit. This could now get torched, but I think that's okay. Pyronite is fine, and okay. So, we are just... we're in business. We're gonna hold this guy back, obviously, but we're 25. Our opponent has 1 card in hand, 4 cards on board, and we are 2 turns and 1 sigil away from Icaria. Basically, any card we draw is live, and they're not doing too much. So worth getting in. I don't think here specifically it is, but if he attacks with everything in this particular board, we're going to keep playing around. Okay, so there's the Bandit Queen, which isn't even that great. Just the Bandit Queen? Yeah. So we'll let that through. See, I talked about this earlier. There are specific situations where Runic Revolver is really good. When all of his guys are 2 power, or 2 health, having access to this sort of thing is actually quite useful. He's probably going to have to jam all his guys in to kill it. So we have to decide if we want to play around Rally. If he has Rally, blocking here sucks. If he doesn't, it's great. So I am going to split my bets, block like this. Take a bit more damage, but that's okay. These things can't attack anyways. If he does have the Rally, he has to play it, but we only lose one of our blockers, and we keep the other one around. I think we have a high enough life total that we can afford to do that. And now we're going to close the game out. With only these guys on board, we can put them on turn 2 clock. So there you go. Even your worst matchups can be defeated. I got to show off a little with that, with the revolver, and I got to end the game by playing Icaria. How can it get better than that? If you're looking to play Armory in the metagame, it's definitely viable. Would I say it's tier 1? I don't think so, but you've got reasonable matchups. You can beat Burn, you can beat Cheeto if they have a kind of awkward draw. It's tough if they have the nuts, obviously. You can beat Elation. I think that's actually a little easier than Combray because they have no ambush units and no stand together, but you need the right redraw for it. You can beat Feln. Feln's usually a pretty good matchup, so you've got reasonable matchups, a bunch of things. If you've got a lot of experience with the Armory deck, you really enjoy the play style, I think it's a fine choice right now. So, this has been a quick little Armory video, Armory in 2016. Thank you all for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again next time.